He beat the case, but he didn't beat the truth. That's what 50 Cent said the moment the verdict dropped, and it changed everything. 1 second, Diddy looked like a free man. The next, he looked like a fraud. Not guilty on sex trafficking, not guilty on racketeering, but guilty, according to 50, of buying his freedom. He bought the feds, 50 wrote. This ain't a win, it's a purchase. That post cracked the illusion. People stopped celebrating and started questioning. What if the courtroom wasn't the end, but the beginning of something darker? Within hours, rumors turned into headlines. Bribes, tampering, leaks. The trial wasn't closed. It was unraveling. And at the center of it all, standing with a smirk and a stack of receipts, was 50 Cent. He didn't just want justice. He wanted revenge. And this time, he wasn't holding back. The internet erupted. Comment sections turned into courtrooms, timelines into battlegrounds. Show us the proof, they demanded, and 50 did. First came screenshots, then came names, alleged jurors, sealed documents, anonymous tips. It wasn't just noise, it was a campaign. Every post peeled back another layer. Behind-the-scenes payments, suspicious transfers, people in Diddy's circle who had vanished just before trial. And yet, no comment from Diddy, no denial, just silence. The kind that screams guilt louder than words ever could. Inside the courthouse, whispers turned into real panic. Judges held emergency meetings, prosecutors reopened internal files. What was supposed to be a closed case had turned into a live wire, and Diddy was standing barefoot in the center of it. And 50? He wasn't stopping. They want quiet, I want answers, he posted. And the more noise he made, the more people started listening. The pressure reached the courthouse steps. Reporters flooded in, cameras rolled nonstop. Diddy's legal team issued a statement calling 50's claims defamatory, baseless, and reckless. But the damage was already done. Sponsors paused contracts. Collaborators backed out. Former allies went quiet. One by one, cracks formed in the image Diddy had spent decades building. And still, no hard denial, no press conference, just a shaky video posted late at night, vague apologies with no names mentioned, no accountability taken. I hit rock bottom, he said, but no one was asking about rock bottom. They were asking about jury tampering, about justice, about Cass, and 50 Cent kept pushing. Funny how he got time for rehab, he wrote, but not for truth. Then came the voice notes, anonymous, distorted, but they sounded real, too real. Jurors being approached, envelopes exchanged, promises made. If even half of it was true, it wasn't just scandal. It was federal crime. The judge couldn't ignore it anymore. A closed-door hearing was called. Security was tightened. Surveillance footage from the courthouse was pulled. Every juror was re-interviewed in secret, and every transaction tied to Diddy's companies over the last 6 months was quietly subpoenaed. And then, boom, a whistleblower stepped forward. A former assistant, anonymous, but with access. She claimed she'd been told to deliver a package to a hotel the night before deliberations. The room number? It matched a juror's name. Inside the envelope, she said, was $50,000 in cash. I didn't ask questions, she whispered. I just did what I was told. That clip leaked, and the internet didn't just listen, it exploded. Every theory felt confirmed. Every denial felt like a lie. The courthouse, once a symbol of control, now looked like a stage hiding a rigged show. And 50 Cent? He wasn't surprised. He'd seen the playbook. He just didn't think Diddy would use it in open daylight. As the investigation deepened, more voices emerged. Former staff, distant collaborators, even ex-security guards, all with stories they'd buried for years. One claimed he was ordered to destroy hard drives the night federal agents first knocked. Another said he was paid triple to deliver sealed documents to unnamed consultants during jury selection week. The timeline was tightening, and the coincidences were becoming patterns. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal team doubled down, calling the allegations a smear campaign orchestrated by a bitter rival. But it didn't matter. The public had made up its mind. The whispers had become a roar. Media outlets that once praised Diddy now led with headlines like "Trial Under Review" and "Verdict in Question." And through it all, 50 Cent stood calm, posting clips, teasing documents, hinting that more was coming. They played the system, he wrote. Now the system's playing back. The game had changed. This wasn't about music anymore. It was about power and what happens when it's abused. Behind the scenes, federal agents were no longer just watching, they were moving. A new round of subpoenas hit Diddy's inner circle. Consultants, bankers, even a high-end event planner. Each one was questioned under oath. Some denied everything, others asked for immunity. Quietly, the Department of Justice stepped in. This wasn't just a media frenzy now, it was a federal inquiry. Diddy's team tried to spin it, claiming he was being targeted because of his success, his influence. But the narrative wasn't holding. Not when documents started leaking. Wire transfers, offshore accounts, payments labeled as jury analysis, and verdict consulting. Experts weighed in. This isn't a defense strategy, one said on CNN. It's a manipulation blueprint. And 50 Cent? He posted just one word that day. Boom. No caption, no explanation, just a warning shot. Because according to him, this wasn't even the worst of it. This was just the surface. And the rot ran deep. Old videos began resurfacing. Club appearances, backstage moments, heated interviews. What once seemed like harmless bravado now felt like warning signs. Viewers replayed clips where Diddy joked about control, power, even silencing people. But now, the laughs felt forced, and the glances too calculated. Then came the internal memo. An ex-employee leaked an email from months before the trial. It read, "Ensure all variables are handled before closing arguments. Discretion is mandatory." The sender? A private contractor reportedly linked to Diddy's crisis team. Screenshots went viral. The media no longer called it speculation. They used words like cover-up, tampering, and criminal conspiracy. Diddy's empire, once protected by layers of fame, was unraveling, thread by thread. And at the center of it all, standing steady in the storm, was 50 Cent. He didn't need to scream. He just posted another photo. Diddy on the courthouse steps, head down, surrounded by lawyers. The caption read, "Still think he won?" Inside the courtroom, things grew tenser. A juror requested protection, claiming they felt watched weeks before deliberations. Another said they received strange emails with no sender ID, urging them to vote smart. Though none of it was definitive proof, the judge had seen enough. A third-party investigator was appointed. New hearings were scheduled. The original verdict wasn't overturned, but it was under a microscope. Meanwhile, public sentiment hit a turning point. Artists removed collaborations. Labels paused projects. Brand partnerships were quietly dissolved. Even longtime allies began to unfollow, unfriend, disappear. The silence around Diddy wasn't just bad PR, it was isolation. And yet, 50 Cent kept going. "This ain't personal," he posted. "It's principle." He teased the trailer for a docuseries. Leaked voicemails, financial records, testimonies still unreleased. He promised the full picture. And for the first time in decades, Diddy wasn't controlling the narrative. He was trapped inside it, on camera, under pressure, and running out of time. Every day brought a new headline. Federal oversight expands. Whistleblowers come forward. Money trail matches, trial timeline. The media frenzy was unstoppable, but it wasn't just noise. Beneath the chaos, a case was reforming. Investigators cross-referenced bank statements with courthouse security footage. Patterns emerged. Visits from people later identified as consultants. Their presence timed suspiciously close to key trial dates. Then came the sealed envelope photo. Blurry but damning. Passed from one hand to another in a parking garage near the courthouse. The timestamp? 2 days before closing arguments. The silence from Diddy's camp grew heavier. No interviews, no rebuttals. Just carefully crafted press statements full of denial but lacking substance. And through it all, 50 Cent's voice never wavered. "This ain't over," he said in an interview. "They think fame is a shield. It's not. It's a spotlight. And now it's on them." His words echoed across platforms, and the audience wasn't just watching, they were waiting. And then came the shift no one expected. Former insiders turning on Diddy publicly. A longtime stylist revealed she was once asked to handle a witness, though she refused and was fired days later. A studio engineer claimed sessions were wiped clean after private meetings with legal advisors. Even a former bodyguard stepped forward, alleging he drove a locked briefcase across state lines without ever being told what was inside. "You didn't ask questions," he said. "You just did your job." But now, no one was staying silent. The illusion of control had shattered. Diddy's reputation, once untouchable, now felt radioactive. Every room he entered fell quiet. Every move was dissected. And 50 Cent? He didn't gloat. He escalated. "The more you hide, the more I'll show," he posted, teasing a second trailer for his documentary. It wasn't just about exposing Diddy anymore. It was about what Diddy represented: power without consequence. And now, for the first time, that power was cornered. Federal investigators widened their scope. This wasn't just about one trial, it was about a pattern. Old lawsuits were reopened. NDAs were reviewed. Shell companies tied to Diddy were traced across multiple states. Several bore vague service labels: media influence consulting, strategic legal outreach, verdict preparation. When reporters dug deeper, addresses led to P.O. boxes. Phones rang with no answers. The shell was cracking. Then, a judge's former clerk came forward anonymously, claiming they'd seen unusual behavior during jury coordination, last-minute swaps, unexplained access clearances. Still, no formal charges had been filed, but the weight was building. One source inside the DOJ told a journalist, "We're not asking if there was tampering, we're asking how high it went." Meanwhile, Diddy's team went silent. The Instagram apologies stopped. The PR push froze. And 50 Cent? He dropped just 3 words that night. "This is happening." Simple, chilling, certain. Because behind the noise, something real had taken hold, and it wasn't letting go. The next blow came from someone no one expected: Capricorn Clark. Once one of Diddy's closest allies, she took the stand in a separate deposition. Calm, composed, and unshaken, she spoke of threats, of silence bought, fear weaponized. She recalled an elevator ride, years ago, after an MTV event. Diddy, irritated, looked at his manager and said, "I don't like the back and forth. I like guns." It wasn't a metaphor, it was a warning. Prosecutors asked who the tension was with. Her answer, 50 Cent. And just like that, the feud became more than music. It became motive. Clark's testimony wasn't just personal, it was strategic. A key piece of a larger puzzle now visible to everyone watching. News outlets looped the quote. Analysts connected dots. And Diddy? He didn't respond. His silence now read as strategy or surrender. Meanwhile, 50 posted the clip with one word overlaid: remember? Because in his world, revenge was never loud. It was patient and permanent. Public pressure boiled over. Petitions circulated demanding the verdict be re-examined. Civil rights attorneys weighed in on national TV, questioning how a high-profile case with such disturbing evidence could collapse so cleanly. "The signs are there," one expert said. Someone tipped the scale. Meanwhile, Diddy's past was catching up fast. Old videos of him joking about controlling people, owning rooms, and moving things quietly took on a sinister tone. Social media didn't forget. They replayed every smirk, every offhand comment, frame by frame. And then came the data dump. A major leak hit the web. Bank transfers, encrypted messages, even internal memos. One file, dated 3 days before the verdict, read simply, "Green light confirmed." The internet exploded. Diddy's legal team claimed the files were fake, doctored, a smear, but the DOJ didn't blink. They moved forward, quietly, relentlessly. And 50? He just posted a countdown. 3 days. No one knew what was coming, but everyone knew it wasn't going to be small. 3 days later, the countdown ended with a bang. 50 Cent released the first full episode of his docuseries. Titled Bought and Buried, it featured whistleblower interviews, unseen footage, financial breakdowns, and chilling audio clips allegedly tied to Diddy's legal team. One voice note played during the episode sent shockwaves. "Make sure the juror understands. This isn't a decision. It's a future." No names were mentioned, but the timing, the voices, the metadata, they all lined up. Public trust fractured overnight. News anchors no longer tiptoed around the word bribery. Congressional figures called for oversight. This wasn't tabloid gossip anymore. It was national interest. Diddy's team scrambled, filing injunctions, trying to block the next episode. But it was too late. The narrative had escaped. It lived in headlines, on phones, in every repost and reaction video. And 50? He smiled during a live stream and said, "They thought they buried it, but they didn't know I was already digging." By the end of the week, the Department of Justice had issued a formal notice. The original trial was under review for potential criminal interference. Subpoenas multiplied. Private investigators combed through years of financial data, searching for unexplained transfers, shell company activity, or personal favors disguised as business expenses. Even Diddy's real estate holdings were flagged. Multiple properties, purchased under aliases, were re-examined. Anonymous sources claimed 2 were used as drop points, locations where undocumented meetings with trial-adjacent individuals had occurred. Meanwhile, Diddy's social media went dark. No posts, no stories, just silence. The kind that says everything. Former friends were gone. Business partners distanced themselves publicly. Streaming platforms quietly pulled his catalog from promotional banners. His legacy wasn't just under attack. It was being erased in real time. And 50 Cent? He didn't slow down. "If I disappear, you'll know why," he joked in an interview. But no one was laughing, because what started as a feud had become a reckoning. The walls were closing in. One federal agent, speaking anonymously, said investigators had found consistent anomalies in juror contact logs, calls that shouldn't exist, access entries with no authorization, and most damning, a string of unregistered burner phones linked to prepaid cards funded by accounts tied to Diddy's entertainment companies. It wasn't enough for an indictment, yet, but it painted a picture, one where coincidence looked more like choreography. The media ran with it. Morning shows, nightly news, podcasts. How deep does it go? Became the question on everyone's mind. Meanwhile, new lawsuits piled on. Former employees, collaborators, and even a retired security consultant filed civil claims, alleging intimidation, coercion, and hush money. The storm that once circled around Diddy now lived inside his home. And 50 Cent? He released a teaser. A second episode. This one, he promised, would name names. "Y'all wanted truth," he said. "Let's see what you do with it." No threats, just certainty. And it was terrifying. Episode 2 dropped like a hammer. This time, it wasn't just insiders speaking. A former paralegal from the defense team came forward, face blurred, voice altered. She described a trial strategy meeting where the objective wasn't proving innocence. It was managing perception. Juror profiles had been gathered months in advance. Social media habits, political views, financial vulnerabilities. One juror, she claimed, had been tagged as pliable with incentive. The footage then cut to a ledger. Coded entries, dollar amounts, initials. Nothing directly stated, but enough to raise eyebrows in every newsroom across the country. Diddy's legal team filed emergency motions to stop distribution. None succeeded. The platform hosting the docuseries tripled in traffic overnight. Diddy, once known for controlling every narrative, was now drowning in one he couldn't manage. And 50 Cent? He released one final statement that night. "This ain't entertainment anymore. This is exposure." And it landed like a threat. Sharp, cold, and undeniable. The fallout was immediate. Within hours of the second episode airing, legal analysts began predicting a formal indictment, not based on rumors, but on patterns, paper trails, and public testimony. Diddy's attorneys scrambled to contain the damage. They claimed the series was a smear campaign, edited for drama, lacking context, but no one cared. The public had made its decision, and worse, so had the institutions. Subpoenas expanded, travel restrictions were imposed, quiet whispers hinted that a sealed indictment might already exist, waiting for the right moment. Diddy's circle thinned further. Executives ghosted his calls, partners froze accounts, event invites dried up. Even artists he mentored removed his name from credits. Meanwhile, 50 Cent went silent. For once. No posts, no jabs, just quiet. And that's what scared people most. Because when the loudest man in the room stops talking, it's not because he's done. It's because the next move isn't noise, it's fire.